If you're watching something in IMAX like Oppenheimer or The Odyssey, the screen and the format that you choose will make or break the experience. I'm going to break down the different IMAX formats. To keep this simple, I'm grouping the IMAX formats into 4 tiers. There are even more specific setups. This breakdown, though, is going to focus on what most regular moviegoers are actually going to experience. When it comes to projection type, IMAX 77. IMAX 70mm is the gold standard. IMAX GT or Grand theaters are the big ones. They're originally built for the 70mm film. They have the steep seating, huge curved screens, and it's kind of the holy grail, and are pretty rare. I mean, I think there's only about 30 around the whole world. For example, here are the 19 locations in the United States that were showing Oppenheimer in its original 70mm format. Also, the Interstellar 10-year re-release last year, I drove 5 hours in the pouring rain to see it in 70mm IMAX, and I got there and the projector was broken. That was pretty devastating. I actually did a whole YouTube video about it. Y'all, we drove all the way here.
Got refunded.
Got refunded. It's fucking canceled. I'll link that in the description if you want to watch me suffer. Next, there's IMAX Laser. This is a great modern standard. GT is in the same size theaters, but it's not with the 70mm film, it's with lasers. The GT theaters that are purpose-built in the native aspect ratio, and those would be 2 4K laser projectors, which would offer superior brightness, contrast, and color accuracy compared to your regular digital. Very crisp and clear. You can see this in films that were shot for IMAX like F1, Superman, Fantastic Four, whereas something like Sinners that came out earlier this year was shot on 70mm film. And then there's the IMAX with laser, which are the 1.9 aspect ratio. Those are still great, smaller screen, but still laser. So it's a great digital high standard. My default for when something is filmed for IMAX, if it's not filmed in IMAX and it's not super necessary, I'm not gonna go there, but it's more than just like slapping the name on it. The screens are beautiful, they're really big, it's really nice quality. And that's the one that I have in my city, and I thought it was beautiful. Even going to see Interstellar there, it wasn't the projector I drove 5 hours for, but you know, it was still great. There is the digital IMAX Xenon, which is what people call LieMAX, which is like regular theaters that were retrofitted and branded as IMAX. Flatter layout, smaller screen, not as immersive, kind of, it's mid, as they would say. It's mostly marketing in that sense, but there are a lot of good in-betweens. So if you can't get to a 70mm IMAX theater and you don't want to watch a LieMAX, so to speak, there are some good options in the middle. What really throws a lot of people off and what really confused me to begin with was aspect ratios. Now, I studied film, I know a lot about aspect ratios, but when it comes to IMAX itself, there's just so much variety and they don't really have specs available everywhere for everything, so it gets a little confusing. I'm in Texas, so I'm going to use some of my screens as an example. The one in red, which is the Bullock IMAX in Austin, is a 1.43 to 1 aspect ratio, and that's the biggest screen in Texas, although it is dual laser GT, so no 70mm film. The two that we have that are capable of playing 70mm film are the Dallas Cinemark and the San Antonio River Center AMC. But as you can see, the screen sizes can differ even if the aspect ratios are the same. For example, Ryan Coogler filmed Sinners on both the Ultra Panavision and IMAX cameras simultaneously. The Panavision has a different aspect ratio, but we won't get into that right now. Here you can see the visual of the scenes where the 1.9 IMAX ratio expands into the 1.43. So if you want the top of the line, like OG, it's the 1.43 aspect ratio. Dolby Cinema is a great alternative. For me, it's not even an alternative. It's kind of like my first pick a lot of the time, unless something is specifically filmed for IMAX. I mean, the sound, obviously, like Dolby audio is just mind-blowing, killer contrast. It's definitely like consistent. Whereas IMAX, you really do kind of have to do the extra research. Even if it wasn't filmed for Dolby, I find that I've had good experiences with it. Now on to how to tell what format you're getting. This can be kind of the most challenging part after figuring out what the hell each format even means. Check the format listed next to the film, and it'll tell you if it's, you know, IMAX 3D, IMAX 70mm. The 70mm listings are pretty self-explanatory. These are the huge projectors that Nolan loves. Like I said, there are only about 30 theaters in the entire world that can play these formats. I will link all of the ones that I know of in the description below, but keep in mind, things change all the time. IMAX with laser is usually referring to the single laser projectors that are a lot of the upgrades that are happening. So there are a lot of really great retrofits happening with IMAX with laser. Digital is pretty much the basic one. A lot of times I see old seats. Keep in mind though, like I said, screen size can vary a lot between theaters, even in the same projection type. Definitely check out the IMAX Reddit for more specifics on where you live, because a lot of people will post in their own cities, and I find that really helpful. When Oppenheimer came out, I went a little bit crazy on my IMAX adventure, and I saw it 4 times in theaters. And I saw it in Dolby Cinema, I saw it in IMAX Laser, I saw it in IMAX 70mm and IMAX 35mm film, which was gorgeous. So I was looking forward to Oppenheimer for a long time. I went to the San Antonio River Center for 70mm IMAX, and I was lucky for my screening because there were a lot of issues. The first week that Oppenheimer came out, everyone's theaters were like up in like SpongeBob. The audio was going out, like the screen was blacking out, the projectors were breaking. There's just a lot of difficulty with transporting the reels of film, and the fact that they're huge and they're heavy. The actual projectors used for this are also huge, and when things break, there's not a repair person there. When I went to see Interstellar, the projectionist told us on Reddit that the audio system was the problem because we don't have all the parts on deck, and they had to get it shipped out from California. I would hope that they would have an IMAX 70mm theater in any major city, but the point that a lot of people make is that there are not enough movies filmed in IMAX 70mm to justify the cost and the upkeep. I do think though the amount of demand for these tickets and the fact that they sell out so quickly, you saw this with Interstellar, you saw this with Oppenheimer, you'll see this again with Odyssey, it does show that there is a demand. Nolan first used this for The Dark Knight, and it was truly groundbreaking. If you know anything about him, you know he's been one of the format's biggest proponents. He shot Oppenheimer partly on IMAX cameras because they are pretty loud, so it would interfere with the scenes that had too much dialogue. So if you watched it on a full screen, it would open and expand to the full aspect ratio. His upcoming film, it's going to be shot on IMAX again, which is great. The 70mm screenings all sold out pretty much already. So they have announced that they're going to be releasing more tickets in the future. But I would start looking stuff up right now if you are interested, just to know like what screen you like, what theaters are near you, then you can kind of keep an eye on it. So if you're going to be buying a movie ticket, I would spend, a couple minutes, like do a little research, or just at least look at the listings and see what options are available. But at the end of the day, you want to go where it's convenient and where you'll enjoy it. Comment below and let me know if you watched Oppenheimer or Interstellar. My fellow movie nerds will know we definitely lean on each other for the latest information. So if there's anything I missed in this video, I definitely want to know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more. I do videos covering film, physical media, and the future of news and television.